So I tried to move my little table and swing it over here. Yeah, that went well. Welcome to Max's Models. I'm Max. Hey, everybody. Well, I got back to work on the F-117 today, and this kit is absolutely the worst I've built in years. And it started off pretty good. The cockpit and everything went together nice. I knew the testors kits had a reputation for not having the greatest fits, kind of being the cheapest way they could make them. But as I started putting this together, I realized what it desperately needed, aside from parts that fit better, was some sort of internal structure, because it's just so big that these large sheets of plastic that make up the panels and everything, just they oil can easily. You can't get any leverage on them. It's wobbly. I know they call the airplane the wobbly goblin. Well, this one is, but things like the intakes and stuff, horrible fits. When I tried to put the tail fins in today, they wouldn't go. I wound up having to cut everything out and just cut a lot of styrene away to get them to fit. And of course, then they were a little loose. So I put them in and gave them overnight to harden. And it's just the wings are curved. There's the plastic just sort of sags under its own weight. And I got the gear, and the gear holes were too small. I had to bore them out to get the landing gears in place. And it just is a lame kit. I mean, I don't think I need to extemporate it on it anymore. And to be honest, it kind of killed my spirit. I gave up on it. I finally got it painted, got it clear coated, got it decaled, then dull coated. And the little probes on the front are all basically just butt joints. They don't even have a marker showing you where exactly to put them. And it's just lame. And you'd heard earlier complaints about trying to get the engine exhaust in the right place and everything. The whole thing's just, it would take so little to make a decent kit out of it. But I mean, you can look at it and see the stuff just curves and sags and whatnot. And this is, I almost covered up the pilot's name. I don't want this to be a tribute build. It's not. It's not worthy. But I don't even think I'm going to give it to Devin. I may show it to him. If he wants it, he can have it. But I'm like, you don't want him. Your house is full of all kinds of nice memorabilia. You don't want to ugly it up with this. And I would say that's all I have to say about that. But I just feel like venting some more. Oh, yeah. And also the decals. Although they do give you two different styles of decals, I realized that, and I expected this because it's old, that they had that white paper that got all in the water, and you had to clean each decal independently and get it cleaned up before I could put it on. But they did lay down okay. And to their credit, only one of them broke, and I was able to fix it. But small consolation. The canopy doesn't fit where the flip. Even the front sensor glass doesn't fit. And I was just out of heck. I'm past this thing. The other thing, just kind of add insult to injury, is just doesn't look right. I mean, the nose looks too duckbill and everything, and I know there are a lot of good kits of this. 1/32 scale's kind of big. This thing's a beast. I don't know where I'm going to put it. Maybe I'll screw it on top of the mailbox or hang it in the garage or something. Although at least it stays on its wheels. I did put several ounces up in the nose, way up forward, so that helped. And well, if this is the worst thing that happens in your life, don't worry about it. You're doing pretty good. On the other hand, the gantry that I was working on is coming along nicely. Going a little slower because I had to paint a lot of stuff. Got the elevator shafts and all the ladders on it today. And it's actually, it's a good kit, but by the nature of what it is a model of, it's very intricate and a lot of parts in there. Luckily, they engineered it where it's kind of hard to put anything on backwards. It's going to be easy to do with this kit. I also painted up the base and got it dull coated. So now I'm pre-painting everything, primed all the remaining parts white. About half of them would be painted red, but I wanted to get that white coat on there. And I'm out of red paint, so I'm either going to have to airbrush or go buy. Well, I've got little bottles of paint. I'm out of rattle can. And another thing, rattle canning this thing, one of the things I didn't think about is because of the nature of the largely open structure, about 90% of the paint goes into the booth and just disappears into the ether. I'm contaminating the planet. I'm a bad human. But the very little of, probably 10% of what you're spraying actually goes on the structure, because it's just, by its open, latticey nature, a lot of it just passes right through. So this is actually, next time, a much better candidate just for airbrushing. So I can, it'll take a little longer, but I like the quick and easy way. But no, next time I think I'm going to go ahead and take the time to airbrush everything. And also, I was a little curious about the pattern I was using, the reds and whites, because they have several different towers, and they're all painted the same. The one in the box art and the one in the build up from the box is painted one way. And then I looked at the ones that launched Alan Shepard, which were just solid red, and some of them had different white patterns. I don't imagine it was any particular schedule to it. I looked at some photographs and compared them. Like, yeah, it's you got several choices on that, and I'm sure they had quite a few of these gantries. They had one out at White Sands, and that was actually for launching Redstones, but it was the same basic system. And then I don't know how many of them they had at the Cape, but anyway, ironically, if you're doing Shepherds, it's easier. It's just all red. And it's not a big deal. I love the way it looks. So it's going to look so good on the shelf. And I might do the other one another way, or I might repeat this. I'll probably add an extra white section on the bottom. But yeah, like I said, I'll probably airbrush that. And one final note before I go. And yes, I was picking that table up, and I bumped it and knocked, fortunately no models or anything, just a box full of paint pens and a lot of various tools and everything. Nothing, I haven't cleaned it up yet, but I felt so stupid. No matter how big a work area I get, I can find a way to knock stuff over. It's a gift. And I keep trying to spread things up, but somehow it just always ends up cluttered again. I think it's my large size. My gravitational field just pulls things in close. That's what it is. Let's go with that. That or the styrene gods hate me. Anyway, I jest, of course. I'm having a great time doing this. Well, you guys, if you saw the little morning coffee video, I decided to do another little AI song with a little more detail about the boys in Huntsville and how they got kind of, let's be honest, screwed out of putting the first satellite into orbit. They were ready to go in 56. Jeez, I'm not letting this go anytime soon, guys. All right, you take care of yourselves. We'll talk at you later. And as always, model on.
Down in Huntsville, Alabama, back in 56, Werner and the Army boys were up to their tricks. They built the Jupiter C, sitting tall upon the pad, ready to pop a satellite to make the nation glad. Von Braun raised his hands and said, the math is right. Just say the word, or General, and we launch tonight. They had the staging ready, the telemetry tuned in tight, just waiting on the nod to put a second moon into the night. Oh, hold your horses, Huntsville, put the rocket on the shelf. Washington is worried about the optics and yourself. We can't let Werner be the first to touch the sky, with that V2 history floating in the public eye. So red tape wrapped around the fins, the politicians frown. And the rocket built for orbit was strictly grounded on the ground. Use the Navy, said the bureaucrats inside the Capitol. Vanguard is the civilian way to make it honorable, while the Army filled the nose cone of one motor short to ensure an orbital attempt would be an abort. Werner shook his head and grumbled, "Jai, it is a crime. We could be up in orbit, but we're just wasting time." The team sat in the control room twiddling their thumbs, waiting on a green light that simply never comes. Oh, hold your horses, Huntsville, put the rocket on the shelf. Washington is worried about the optics and yourself. We can't let Werner be the first to touch the sky, with that V2 history floating in the public eye. So red tape wrapped around the fins, the politicians frowned, and the rocket built for orbit was strictly grounded on the ground. Then autumn of 57 came around, steady little beep, beep, beep began to sound. The Russians sent up Sputnik 1 right over supreme space and beat the USA fair and square inside the cosmic race. The Pentagon went crazy screaming, get someone up there. And Huntsville said, we told you so, we got one to spare. They dusted off the Jupiter, gave Explorer 1 the lead. 84 days later, Werner launched it at top speed. It proved the team in Huntsville had the right stuff all along, even if the DC hesitation started off real wrong. Yeah, if DC had installed them back in 1956, the space age would have started with some Alabama tricks. Beep, 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 beep. I told you so.
And that's the way it is. August 24th, 2026.